fight. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of the Fix Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. And we kind of teased last week that we had some big news coming, and this is it. We are officially going on video, so you can put the faces to the voices. We have made a YouTube channel. It is the Fix Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. Pretty simple, right? If you've been listening, yeah, it kind of follows through there. We're going to be doing some live stuff, some video interviews. Our episodes are still going to be everywhere you get them, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, but this is a logical next step for us, and we're super excited for it.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally did it. I feel like we kind of dragged our feet a little bit, but yeah, these are our faces.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. Maybe some fight companions in the future, dude. I feel like we've been doing this podcast, like, between this and formerly Combat Docket for, I don't even know, like
3 years,
4 years now. Yeah,
for sure. I would love to. I was gonna say I would love to be able to pull up some fight footage when we're talking about that stuff. Like how great, man. You remember when we were talking during quarantine, when quarantine first hit, we were doing those rivalry episodes, doing something like that, pulling up old fights and talking about them. That kind of stuff I think would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff for us to play around with. So if you could, please give us a follow now on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of big things coming, and we're excited about it. Today, for our first video interview, we are going to be joined shortly by Chris Rini of Bloody Elbow, and we are super excited to talk to him. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on.
All right, guys. Now we are joined by one Chris Rini of Bloody Elbow. You know him from all the wonderful cartoons that he puts out. I think near daily. Chris, you can correct me on that, but near daily. That's how many people know him already. But he is here today to talk about his book that I think will be the first of many, hopefully, The Fine Art of Violence. And I believe Chris does the art, and he is joined by Josh Rosenblatt, and I should have that name in front of me.
No, that's right.
Thank you. Who does the essays to accompany his art in that book. So Chris, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Oh man, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. Unfortunately, the pandemic forced me to cut my cartoons in half. I'm only 2 days a week at Bloody Elbow right now. I'm there Monday and Wednesday, but you're right. I was there pretty much daily for the past, I guess, year and a half. And man, it's been fantastic, trying to carve out a way to, make money in MMA and the media on the regular. It took a while. The reason I know Josh Rosenblatt is he was my editor. I used to work at Vice at Fightland, and I had a weekly column with him. So that I was very lucky to work with a great editor, and it was a good experience. But I was doing wood engravings back then, and you can't bang those out every day.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, the cartoons, I guess it feels like every day. Also, you're a great follow on social media, but I feel like there is so much content constantly that I feel like you're pretty like tuned in to kind of what's going on. So maybe it's your tweets, maybe it's people passing around your cartoons, right? The next day. It feels like it's every day.
Yeah, it is nice when they when the news story lasts like 48 hours instead of 24 hours. And every once in a while, something really ridiculous will happen. I'll be like, screw that. I'm doing one just for free, and I'll right. Put that out. So that is true. Sometimes I'll give you guys some bonus ones on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. How did you get into that space of drawing cartoons for MMA? Because it's kind of an uncommon thing, right?
It is. Most people who do it do like caricatures, and they do they're glorifying the sport or the fighters, which is fun, but it is not. That's one trick, and that doesn't really last. And I had this idea to do like a parody of a fable, where I explained why explained the Fox deal, when the UFC finally went on mainstream TV, and I did it as with Dana White as a baker that baked cookies, and he was super famous and he was super successful. He baked 100 cookies a year, and then instead of Fox, the TV company, it was a literal fox, came to him and was like, "I'm gonna get you cookies. They're gonna go all over the world, And the baker makes the cookies, but he makes them with the same amount of ingredients, but he makes 500 cookies instead of 100. And it's like, and the cookies sucked. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to agonize over making great drawings. I have like a message, I have a story, I have a joke, and I'm just going to bang this out. And man, you look at your Twitter analytics, right? You guys ever check that stuff out? And I wrote that story on my lunch break while I was working. I had a desk job back then, and I had like 1,000 followers, and I reached over 100,000 people. I tagged every journalist, I tagged every editor that I knew, and I was like, bang, 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 bang. Maybe it was like, I don't know, 15 tweets. I threaded them together, and it took off. It just went all over, and I was like, wow, this really did well. About a week went by, and I was like, oh, it's Thursday again. I'm gonna make another one. And I was like, nice. Do another one. And I would say after about 3 or 4 weeks, Kid Nate from Bloody Elbow was like, he contacted me. He's like, I want to publish these.
Nice.
And we negotiated like a once a week column where I did like a long form joke. And then a couple months later, I happened to be in Texas visiting my in-laws, and I was like, yo, Nate, let's meet up, let's hang out, and he came, and I had the good fortune of like spending an hour with him. And I was like, look, man, when I was growing up in New York, there was this daily cartoonist named Bill Gallo who did, just whatever was happening, whatever was happening in New York sports teams, that he was just drawing everything every day. And I was like, I want to do that for MMA. And he was like, go for it. And man, they really believed in me. They really gave me a ton of latitude. They have only hit the brakes on maybe 2, 3 cartoons tops. They give me free reign, and that is like a gift from an editor and from an employer, and all, as a freelancer, to have that much latitude, to have people who are like, just fucking go for it, And awesome. And pretty often I have no idea whether they like my work or not. They don't speak to me at all.
They must, right?
Yeah.
It's that, if you're, I don't want to sound, I don't know how to phrase it exactly, but it's like, you have that like, I got to keep it up. It's got to be good. It's got to be good. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. And like, I like that. I like.
Well,
that,
you're putting it out there. You're putting it out there. There's always that kind of pressure, no matter what, no matter how long you do.
Yeah, and the internet has that funny thing of, you can see how many people click on the page. You can see the stats on social media, so when something goes viral. And every once in a while, I hit a good one, but I'm more, it's definitely like a singles and doubles kind of thing than it is like, and if you hit 1 or 2 home runs a year, that's probably enough these days, yeah. But you hit singles every day, someone's like, I guess you got to keep them around.
Exactly. So man, I actually have several questions, and I do want to talk about the book, obviously. But you kind of touched on this, but it sounds like cartoons is kind of that intersection between art and also, but it sounds like what you're describing is a whole lot of it is kind of interpreting, having your take on today's events more so. You know what I mean?
100%. I feel like there's not a good number of people who can criticize the UFC or make a comment on the, like the elephant in the room, without, getting burned, losing their press pass, and I feel like
very true.
If I can, and I learned this as a young man, that if you can be funny, if you can look someone in the eye and smile, you can say something really rough. And I feel like, when it's online, if you can make the drawing be sillier, then you can get away with saying like, like that court jester thing, like the court jester is the one person who can tell the king when he's got egg on his face. And that's kind of how I view this a little bit. It's like, if I can, it's like that spoonful of sugar.
Exactly. So
push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah. Can you give us any like I want to say like contemporary, recent examples where it's like, you know what, this would be hard to write out in a column, or this would be hard to say out loud, but I can do it because I have this medium of cartoons.
I like one of my favorites that I did was I guess it was after I think what's his name, Vicente Luque. He man, who did he destroyed someone.
Was it
I can't
Nico
even.
Price?
No, it was before that. Although that was a great fight too. I really enjoyed that. It was before he lost to Wonder Boy because he was really on a nice streak there. Anyway,
Ryan Barberena, maybe,
yeah, it might have been
right?
Barberena.
They had that banger of a fight.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So I was I had like a 3 panel, and I have Colby Covington talking to Dana, right? And he's like, it was right after he did the Matt Hughes getting hit by a train post fight like dig, and he's like, MAGA MAGA choo choo, MAGA MAGA Matt Hughes. And Dana White's thinking in his head, he's like, this idiot again, Jesus. And then the next panel is Henry Cejudo, and he had just recently said he wanted to fight Valentina Shevchenko, and instead he's just going, I want to fight a woman. He's like, oh, Jesus
I remember
Christ,
this.
what am I gonna do? And then you have Vicente Luque, and he's just like, I'm like, I've got 12 straight finishes on a 6 fight win streak, and I speak 3 languages. And he's like, I can't work with this. So
True.
I want to, and have you ever heard Vicente Luque name come out of his mouth? So that's the kind of stuff
Nope.
where I feel like I can highlight the absurdity of what's really going on. And it's definitely like I don't know. I gotta be careful. I can't get too high on my horse. Every once in a while, I gotta just like be like, look, I also enjoy fights. I love watching these things happen, and that's part of, as a nice segue. That's why I made this book. I don't talk about the UFC. I don't talk about Dana White. I don't even talk about fighter pay, which is one of my biggest, which is probably the biggest reason I got into cartooning. I made this as my way of celebrating what the whole reason we're here. It's about the human body, it's about combat, and it's about beauty, and it's also about the visual iconography that is being born right in front of us. Everybody already knows what like the slobber knocker punch is in boxing. They know what the home run swing is. They know what the Air Jordan silhouette is. But like those things don't really exist for MMA yet. They're just being born. They're just all happening right now. And I feel like, I'm here to make my mark. I'm here to document what's happening in the world right now. Like that's what my job is as an artist. Like I'm supposed to look at the world and like draw something, and then 100 years from now, people can look at the drawing and be like, this is something about society that was happening. And the sport is brand new. It's something that was birthed, before I'm older than the sport, that's
Yeah.
wild, that's pretty cool. So I made this as a way of like to stay grounded and just be like, this is why I'm here. This is why I came to the sport in the first place. There's something totally amazing happening. And I was like, I'm going to draw from January 1st to December 31st. And it's going to be a volume. It's going to be a way of like encapsulating a moment in time.
I find it very fascinating. I mean, podcasts are a dime a dozen, right? We all have the gift of gab. If you're into the sport, you could talk about it. But I'm probably the least artistic person possibly in the world. So like that for me, I find it super fascinating and interesting that you're able to, kind of portray what we're doing, but in artistic sense. It's really awesome, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got a real need for someone who talks as much as I do. I really prefer nonverbal communication.
That's funny. So wait, so you're obviously like super passionate about MMA, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you did the book. How did it like what's your MMA origin story, so to speak?
Working like a dead end job. I was an accountant, it was during the 2008 financial crisis, and I had nothing to do. I was like, I was working for a hospital that had no money, so they couldn't spend anything. I had nothing to do. I was just working in a cubicle. I had just quit my band, and I was just watching fights. I was watching like YouTube knockout compilations, every single one with the bodies hit the floor. And
We know how that
Classic.
yeah,
classic.
you know the deal. That's right. That's like a point in time, right? You know
Yeah.
exactly what life was like back
Mhm.
then.
Yep.
And I hit this point where I got frustrated that I didn't understand what was happening after a certain point. I was like, why is this smaller person winning? Why like it wasn't enough just to see like, a fight anymore. I had to like kind of understand what was happening, why one style was what even was happening. I didn't have much of fight knowledge at all. And the funny thing is I didn't really watch contemporary UFC. Every once in a while something would bubble up. I think like maybe like UFC 100 happened during that time. And so that would come on my radar. I'd be like, wow, this guy's in the news. Brock Lesnar's in the news. All right. But really, I just watched all the old stuff. I read Wikipedia pages, trying to understand what styles emerged. And I watched old fights for about 2 years. And that, because it was like, who's George St. Pierre? Why is he so great? Why does everyone talk about him?
Right.
So I watched all his old fights, and then eventually I kind of caught up. I felt like I understood what was going on. And then around Rampage versus Rashad, that was like UFC 117. And that's when I started like, all right, I'm in, I'm ready. And I was like, I was like that guy was all excited about the fights.
You
that
bought
were
the
Yeah.
you bought the UFC hot dog brander.
I I
Were you
still
ever
haven't pulled the
that into
trigger
it?
on it. No, I kind of knew that there was something really weird about like the brand itself,
Mm.
It just took me a long time to admit it, to be able to say it out loud. Like, dude, when I worked for Fightland, I didn't even know that they were funded by the UFC. That was and then Deadspin did that, like kind of, I don't know, kind of, it was, you could call it a hit piece. And I felt like a fool, I felt like a total dumbass, like, but that's life. You learn, you
Right.
learn.
Right.
Well, man, you're doing it now with this book. I so this is going to make me, the answer here might make me a little sad. Are there any hard copies available for purchase still, or is it only digital?
It is sold out.
Oh man, congratulations. That
Congrats.
makes me
That's good to
personally
hear.
sad, but
Yeah.
very, very obviously happy for you.
Happy.
But
Thank
yeah,
you, man. Yeah, I know. I have like a couple copies that I'm gonna like, I made for a couple friends that have like been with me for over the years, and maybe I give one to my parents and stuff. We'll see. I might have like 3 or 4 left over when after that little batch goes out. I saved 10,
Nice.
just for, I'd like one,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Of course.
No, I'm a hard copy, or I don't do much. I'm gonna get the digital download, but man, the having the actual book, man, it's gonna be like a collector's item now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that was the whole goal. The whole goal is to make this into like an annual event, like that, something that people look forward to. And I have a YouTube channel, and I set up a Twitch channel. I'm not ready to do that yet, but what I'm excited about is that I'm going to document the making of the second book, um, as it happens. And, it's going to be hopefully be really fun for people to kind of weigh in on like which fights belong in the book. And I kind of would like that to become part of the discourse as it goes along. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, you get the fans involved and the fan interaction. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
I
it.
really enjoy that. And I've got 6 amazing writers who have kind of agreed to join in. I sent them
Nice.
advanced copies of the book, and I don't know if I would tell your audience that Chuck Mindenholm, Shaheen
Mhm.
Al-Shadi, Julie Kedzie, Fernanda Prates, Eugene S. Robinson, Schwan Humes, and then Josh Rosenblatt's going to come back as well.
Awesome.
And I mean, what a
The best in the
murderer's
business.
row.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
That's
I
like
feel-
star-studded cast. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's very validating for me that these people would want to work with me. Let's never say for. Although I am paying everyone.
I like it.
Yeah.
So let's get to like, some brass tacks of the book. Like,
Yeah.
is it just UFC fights? Is it everything? Is it just in cage action? Is it focus on out of cage action? Like, what can I expect?
For this, I decided to keep it in cage, and I was trying to think. There's actually one drawing where you see the cage, And I was like actually inspired by an article that Sean Al-Shadi wrote about the Korean Zombie when he knocked out Renato Moicano,
Mhm.
about like the moment where he like jumps up on the cage and like he like, because I don't know if you remember, he was just humiliated after the Yair loss,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
he wanted to get that back, and he did, and they did it in, I think, North Carolina, where there's the massive Korean population there, and there's all those flags all over the place. So the drawing for that book is actually like a like an aerial shot of the octagon with a very tiny Korean zombie sitting
Mhm.
on the octagon, and there's all Korean flags around him. And I actually, this is the only one where I put in media row and all the laptops as a little salute to Sean, because yeah, that was really cool. But I didn't put in 3-piece Minnesota because that happened backstage. Um, that's one of the things that's in what is it called? That's in MMA Squared. What I do for Bloody
Yeah.
Elbow. Somebody suggested that I put the MMA Squared comics in the book as well, and I'm still thinking about it. I might do that because that would be a cool way to have the narratives of the news kind of connect all the fights together. The way the book is divided up right now, every chapter is a weight class, so it's less tied to what is it called? Like it's less chronological. I didn't want it to be like a year recap. That
Mhm.
Right.
that
Right.
that this is more. I want to remove the fighters from the news cycle. I wanted to make it more about performance than anything else.
Well, I mean, when you like 50, 60, 70 years from now, if people are looking back on this, there's going to be plenty of accounts of like traditional, this is what people wrote about the fight, right?
Right,
There's
exactly.
way fewer, and there's going to be guys like me and Kurt talking about it.
Yeah.
That's always going to be around. But kind of what Kurt
Right.
was touching upon at the beginning, like there's not a ton of people doing what you're doing, right? So you have a totally different medium of
Yeah.
history here.
Yeah, that's true. And I definitely want to like stay in my lane. That's originally I wanted to write the book myself, and I had contacted Josh just to edit it. And then at one point he was like, "You want me to write it for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do."
Nice.
Best decision ever. I worked with a graphic designer as well, who I met through Bloody Elbow. He was just a fan of the cartoon, and we just kind of been chatting offline. And he did a couple Photoshop jobs for me, just because I'm not very. Believe it or not, I'm not a talented digital artist at all. This iPad that I'm talking to you on, it's like the first foray into digital art I've ever
Yeah.
done. Yeah, I've just been doing MMA Squared on it for about, I don't know, maybe 2 months or something.
Wow.
And I've been drawing a little bit. So part of, I think, what's going to be funny, hopefully an added level of humor that will be added to the YouTube and Twitch, is going to be like an old man being like, Jonah, I made a layer, like that's probably going to be, I'm already like waiting to be humbled
Yeah.
publicly.
So do you have a favorite like moment you were able to draw? I mean, MMA gives you so many.
It does. It's funny. You ever, this is a common thing, say, like amongst artists. The joke is that you do your best work on like newsprint with like a number 2 pencil, and you get like your beautiful oil paints and your beautiful canvas, and you look at it and you're just like, oh God, you're like paralyzed with fear. MMA is the same way. I got to tell you, I hate hate is a strong word. I feel like I did not do justice to Israel Adesanya in the book. I just feel like I loved his performance against Gastelum,
Yeah.
and and this is one of the things I learned the hard way when making the book, that I drew too many fights. Um, I For the next book, I'm gonna do a fewer number of fights, and I will do more drawings of individual fights, because to take something like Wiley Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk and try to condense that into a single image, I mean, it can be done, but it shouldn't be done.
No.
They need they need to breathe. There
Yeah.
needs to be a before and after portrait of Joanna and her poor forehead. Like
Yeah.
that's integral to the narrative of the fight itself. So to get back to what you're saying,
Mhm.
favorite moments. Um, it's strange. Like I actually enjoyed some of the more obscure fights because I felt free to get a little crazy and a little creative. I did like a psychedelic drawing of Nico Price knocking out Tim Means, which is, not exactly a highlight that ended up anywhere, but I liked that knockout. And I got to do Tim Means like disintegrating with multiple arms, and his head like just like fading off, like trailing like a LSD kind of trail. And then and I did actually Chris Wyman when he got knocked out by all right, so this is the cool thing. Some of the drawings relate back to other artistic eras in art history. And then I would talk to Josh about them, and he would be forced to learn about art history and use that in part of his writing. So one of the drawings is of Johnny Walker. And I based this drawing on Chuck Jones, who was a director for Warner Brothers. He directed all the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons and a lot of Bugs Bunny. I love those. Those are some beautiful artwork in those things. And I did what's called a smear frame, where it doesn't, where the body is stretched to show motion rather than drawing like 10 frames to show a kick going across the thing. You just one frame where the leg is actually stretched wider than it really is. And I made if anybody wants to learn about them, there's a great YouTube channel called Every Frame a Painting, and they teach you about smear frames there. It's like a 8-minute video. It's really just completely fascinating stuff. Anyway, so this is the kind of stuff you get to learn about in the book, but while seeing like just a barrage of just amazing moments.
So it kind of sounds like, I mean, do you see yourself like stepping out of the cartooning style? Like, do you see your style, right? If you do this book for 5, 10, 15 years, kind of evolving over the course of that?
I think that this book is finally me getting to do the artwork I prefer to do without having to contextualize it. Like for Fightland, everything had to be within a historical context because it was a historical column. And now within MMA Squared, things have to be, also I get paid a flat rate. Therefore, if I spend 8 hours, I make very little money. And if I spend 2 hours, I make good money. So,
Right.
I work within those constraints. And this book was the first time where I was like, I'm an artist. I'm calling the shots. I'm going to make art the way I want to make it. And I feel like very happy that I'm doing things the way I want to do them. I'll play around with the medium, but this is we're getting closer and closer to what I would just say is I'm Chris Rini. I'm an
It's
artist.
you, right?
This is yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. It's super fascinating to hear you talk about it. I mean, I'm interested in like what's your like pie in the sky vision for the book, in like 15, 20 years? Like, is it still going to be kicking as like the book of record for every year?
Oh, without a doubt. I already know. This has been my vision since day one. I need aspiring or up and coming fighters to say that they will know that they have made it when Chris Rini draws me.
That's it.
That's it.
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
That's when that's where we're heading.
It's awesome.
Like replace the, oh my God, I'm talking to Joe Rogan, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
totally.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. I think
Do
you're
you-
actually not that far off. Like, I'm sure, like, I feel like, I guess, yeah, that was gonna be my next question is like, do you have any fighters reaching out to you ever, like saying, oh my God, this is me, like this guy drew me?
not so much right now. I think that working for Bloody Elbow probably alienates me a little bit from not so much the fighters, because the few that I've met have all been really more than um, really excited by the work. I've done some fan expos here in New York, and I've also done one. I did one in Vegas. They've all actually been pretty happy to see it happening. But I think that this is more of a slow burn, that it's going to take a little bit of time for people to realize that this is something special that's happening, and I'm okay with that. I have a fairly nice collection of art books, and I feel like one day the book that I made
Yeah.
this time, I made, I worked within tight budget, and I think these things will get bigger and nicer as time goes by.
It's kind of how the world works, right, man?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's got to be good and it's got to feel good looking forward to that. Ben was saying 10, 15 years down the road. And, we see in MMA all the time. It's going to definitely keep you in business and keep everything moving. There's always a lot of crazy stuff going on, right? All the time.
There is. It's I know that I've used the term and plenty of people have, like, the dumpster fire, man. Some days it burns bright.
Absolutely.
It's like
you wake up, you turn on Twitter, and you never know what the hell you're going to see or what's going on,
Yeah, there have been plenty of nights where I'm like, man, I really don't have an idea for a story or for a piece for a cartoon, and I'm just like, kind of like, I'm just gonna hang out and like watch some YouTube videos, and then boom, something kicks up.
Somebody
like I
does
remember
something crazy.
somebody does something. Like I remember that Donald Cerrone calling Mike Winklejohn running a puppy mill.
Oh yeah.
And I got to like do like a little puppy dog in like headgear and boxing gloves. It was just super fun. And like he's like, they'll let a hobo off the street box, fight a champ for $100. And I was like, got to do like, like a hobo and like, in an octagon with like a beer bottle. And I was like, oh, thank God, thank you.
So I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but like, what's your favorite storyline of 2020, or favorite storyline that you're looking forward to for the rest of the year in MMA?
Wow.
Like, any favorite rivalries? Like, me and Kurt love to talk about classic rivalries or current rivalries and like dissect them, what makes them great, that kind of stuff. Any favorite storyline that you're looking forward to, or have?
I love when there is a lot of action in like a super tight division. And I really like, I was so disappointed that Poirier didn't get the Ferguson fight.
Yeah.
But I think that lightweight is like, oh man, like that's hot, man. You got Poirier Hooker, then Ferguson Gaethje, and like even Hooker Felder. And then like Khabib's gonna fight. Like as long as Khabib fights, then that's like the like the when like a gear like that. That's the big one. Once the next big gear turns, I really enjoy that. I mean, look, I absolutely love watching John Jones fight. That's
we
one
are
of those
huge John Jones fans on the show.
I've done so many images of him. I can't think of and definitely one of the more controversial people that I've poked, one of the most iconic drawings I've done for Bloody Elbow is the John Jones as a Dorito with chopstick legs.
Mm-hmm.
That was possibly the most viral thing I've ever done for the site. That is literally the only time I got an email from Nate. He's like, "Hey, good work this week. Good work this month." Yeah.
Man,
like, all right.
Why is John Jones so captivating? Like, why is he such, why is he like, because we totally agree with you, right? He is such a captivating figure, good and bad. Like, why are you, I think I'm also drawn to him as a fan for kind of the same reason that you probably enjoy drawing him,
I think
fire.
His dumpster fire sometimes, but
he's the most beautiful dumpster fire.
Yes,
he sure is.
He is like, because I have like a musical background, I would say he is like Keith Richards. He's like Axl Rose. You're just like, God damn, that son of a bitch can really do what I need him to do. Like that kind of like, you're always going to let him back in. You're always going to let him back in. It's not like somebody who does something so heinous that it wipes away their ability to like reside within your consciousness, like what's his name, War Machine, what I mean? God. Where it's like, I don't want to see him in the news. I don't even want to see him in the news. I don't want like anything but like John Jones is like, what's the a habitual line stepper,
Yeah.
but the thing with John is, as much as he pushes the boundaries and does dumb shit, he fights, and he fights often when he can, when he's not suspended, and every time he fights, he delivers. He's one of the best of all time, whether you love him or hate him. So it's like, you got to respect him. No matter what 100%. Dumb crap he does, you got to respect him.
Yeah, for as many people so you guys know that, I'll tell you this for your audience. I'm on Twitter at Rini MMA, And when the fights are live, I'm drawing them. Every Saturday night, I'm there. I used to do it newsprint and charcoal. Now I'm using the iPad, and you know, I watched I watch him fight, and like I know a lot of people think that he lost to Thiago Santos, but I drew him as a cat playing with a mouse, like just playing with its food, like you're just watching that guy, like he, even
He's
though he doesn't engage the way everyone wants him to, he's engaging on his own terms, which is the most
Always.
fascinating thing.
so
Always.
oh, my dog spoke up just now. She's a John Jones fan as well. So
Fair point.
it sounds like John Jones probably like he inspires art in me. It sounds like he inspires art in you. Are there any other kind of fighters like that where it's like I have to draw what I'm seeing right now?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I feel like that about actually Justin Gaethje.
Mhm.
I think he's one of those people where you're like, whoa, what am I like? But I like being overwhelmed. I think that's like a kind of thing that's a consistent in my life. That's a feeling that I enjoy, and I think that's why MMA resonates with me. There's so many variables within it, and I've gotten, by drawing, there are certain scenes that I like to draw that I didn't even know would change the way I look at fights, or basically the work that I make and the sport that I enjoy kind of affect each other. I love clinch work. I love cool clinch work. There's a really nice shot drawing of Joanna Jacek busting up Michelle Watterson, and that's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, like when that happens live, I'm like, I can't wait to do that. Yeah, totally. I liked Mike Perry when he knocked out Jake Ellenberger.
Man,
Right? That was one.
Mike Perry's got to give you some good stuff to draw on. He's another really fun, interesting dude.
Oh man, he's more of a MMA squared content than Fine Art of Violence.
That is true.
Yeah,
True.
he's made more than one appearance there. And my favorite one is, you ever see the clip where he knocked down his girlfriend in sparring?
Oh man.
I did that as Ali Liston, that famous photo.
Yeah.
So it's Mike Perry standing over his girlfriend. He's like,
My
"You thought
God.
you were in a committed relationship, boy." Jesus.
Oh man. I mean, I feel like that's the perfect example of like you can fit so much, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Into that little cartoon.
Yeah. You can. It's something how densely layered things can be, and sometimes, man, I overwork it. It's funny. Like the simplest stuff sometimes does the trick. So you got to be careful. Would you mind if I plug the book one time, just so anybody listening, if they're curious about
plug
it?
your book.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're here for.
I appreciate it. So the website where you can get this, and the hard copy is sold out. You can get you get an ebook. It's at chrisrini.com, CHRISRINI.com. I'm also on Twitter at Rini MMA, and I do cartoons. They are editorial cartoons of a satirical nature at bloodyelbow.com. Every Monday and Wednesday. They publish at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
I think that's everything. I think that's it. But
I mean,
and then every Saturday night, I'm drawing the fights live. I'm on Twitter all the time. Anyone can reach out to me, and I got kids, but I'll get to you eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Follow Chris, and we'll make sure we include links in whatever description that comes out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Thanks for joining us.
Oh,
Really
it was a
fun
pleasure.
stuff.
It was a pleasure. I was thinking about doing. It's funny. I started a newsletter in 2016, and then I had my second kid, and I totally let it go. But it was called the Quarterly Report, and I just kind of did like little thumbnail drawings of the best fights of like that season, and I did a little write up. And I was like, oh man, as I'm working on the book, maybe I'll bring that back. So if you guys want, maybe I'll hit you up in the spring or something like that, and we'll check in and see how the book is coming along. I kind of like that idea of rather than I had the first year, I had to do it like in silence,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I put it out there a little bit, but until the first book was done, it's very hard to tell people that like I'm doing something special. It's big and it's groundbreaking, and it's going to be like, it's going to transform is going to add a new dimension, not transform, add a new dimension to the way you look at the sport. And now that it's out there and the response has been so positive, I really look forward to sharing it all the more.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, man, thanks so much. Like, yeah, definitely come back. I like this plan. Come back, check in with us.
Awesome, man.
Man, thank you so much.
Oh, it's
Chris.
a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Real pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate
Of course,
it.
man. Thank you so much.
You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to watch some RuPaul's Drag Race.
Face the pain.
We'll enjoy that, dude.
Face the
Enjoy it.
pain, no escape. Can you
Thanks
step
again,
to
dude.
this? Face the pain, no escape.